Hey, Habs fans, are you feeling the itch of anticipation right now? What if I told you that the Montreal Canadiens are poised to make a splashy move before the roster freeze, potentially landing a game-changing scorer to ignite our offense? With the 2025-26 season on the horizon, the rumor mill is churning, and GM Kent Hughes might just be ready to pull the trigger on a deal that could reshape our lineup. Today, we're diving into the whispers of a big trade, the strategic flexibility Montreal has, and why the timing could be perfect for a bold strike. Stick with me as we explore how the Habs are gearing up to address their scoring woes and make some noise in the NHL. Let's paint the picture. The Canadiens are heading into the new season with just 22 players on their roster, a deliberate move that screams flexibility. This isn't an accident. It's a chess play by Hughes, keeping a spot open for a potential trade down the line. Why does this matter? Because the NHL landscape is unpredictable. Some teams will realize early on that they're not as competitive as they hoped, while others might tank hard for a shot at the 2026 draft's consensus top pick, Gavin McKenna, a generational talent who's already turning heads. As one NHL scout told RG.org, the 2026 draft class looks pretty enticing. With a talent like McKenna at the top, I know some teams would throw in the towel early if they're out of it by December, and I bet the Canadiens are paying attention. When teams start waving the white flag, the trade market could explode, and Montreal is positioned to pounce. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Canadiens' offense needs help, and it's no secret. While Nick Suzuki has solidified himself as a top six center, and the heart of this team is captain, the depth down the middle is a glaring question mark. Kirby Dach and Oliver Kapanen are slated to compete for that second-line center role, but what they don't pan out as hoped. The Habs can't afford to wait and see while the season slips away. With an abundance of wingers but a lack of proven centers, Montreal's attack often feels lopsided. Hughes knows this, and the worst-kept secret in the league is that the Canadiens are hungry to bolster their forward group. A trade using draft capital or prospects could be the key to unlocking that potential, and the timing, before the roster freeze, might be ideal. Let's dig into why acting early makes so much sense. Last season, the Canadiens pulled off a pre-roster freeze trade with the Nashville Predators, swapping defensemen Alexander Carrier and Justin Barron in a deal that stabilized Montreal's blue line. It was a calculated, under-the-radar move that paid dividends by balancing the roster early in the campaign. A similar move now, targeting a scoring forward, could do wonders for the Habs' offensive identity. Imagine adding a proven top-six forward or dynamic center to complement Suzuki, someone who can drive play, bury chances, and take pressure off our young core like Cole Caulfield and Uri Slavkovsky. Getting that player in the lineup early allows time for chemistry build, setting the stage for a serious playoff push later in the season. Hughes has shown he's not afraid to act decisively, and his methodical approach could catch other GMs off guard when the market heats up. But what kind of deal are we talking about here? While specific names aren't floating yet, the possibilities are endless. The Canadiens have assets to dangle, whether it's draft picks, prospects, or even a roster player in a hockey trade. Teams that fall out of contention by December might be willing to part with veteran scorer for the right price, especially if they're eyeing a rebuild or a shot at McKenna in 2026. Montreal's cap situation is enviable, giving Hughes room to absorb a contract without breaking a sweat. And let's not forget the psychological boost a trade like this could provide. The Habs are still a team in transition, blending youth with experience, and a high-profile addition could signal to the locker room and the fans that this organization is serious about winning sooner rather than later. It's not just about points. It's about momentum. Of course, there are risks to consider. Trading for a scorer often means parting with future assets, and in a rebuild, that's a delicate balance. What if the player doesn't mesh with Martin St. Louis' system, or worse, underperforms? What if Dach or Kapanen step up, rendering the trade unnecessary? Hughes has to weigh the immediate need against the long-term vision. But here's the flip side. Standing pat could be just as risky. If the offense sputters out of the gate and internal options falter, the Canadiens could find themselves playing catch-up in a brutally competitive Atlantic division. Waiting until the trade deadline might mean missing out on the best targets or overpaying in a seller's market. Striking now, before the roster freeze, could be the difference between a proactive rebuild and a reactive scramble. Let's zoom out and think about the bigger picture for a moment. The Canadiens aren't just playing for this season. They're building a foundation for sustained success. But rebuilds don't happen in a vacuum. Fans expect progress, and players need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. A trade for scoring help isn't just a roster tweak. It's a statement of intent. It tells the league that Montreal isn't content to be a bottom feeder, waiting for prospects to mature. It shows belief in the current core while addressing a critical weakness. And with the 2026 draft looming as a potential game changer for struggling teams, the trade market could be ripe for the picking in the coming weeks. Hughes has the experience and the savvy to navigate these waters, and if the right opportunity presents itself, I have no doubt he'll seize it. As we wrap this up, I can't shake the feeling that something big is brewing in Montreal. The Canadiens are primed for a trade that could turbocharge our offense and set the tone for the 2025-26 season. With roster flexibility, cap space, and a clear need for scoring, all the pieces are in place for Kent Hughes to make a move before the freeze. Whether the veteran center to anchor the second line or a dynamic winger to spark the attack, the potential impact of a deal like this is massive. But it's not without uncertainty. Every trade is a gamble, and the stakes are high for a team still finding its identity. One thing is certain. The next few weeks could be pivotal, and Habs fans everywhere will be watching with bated breath. So, Habs faithful, I want to know what you think. Are you ready for a blockbuster trade to shake things up, or should we trust the internal options for now? Drop your predictions and dream targets in the comments below. I'm all ears. And if you're as pumped as I am about the possibility of a game-changing move, hit that like button to show your support. Let's keep the excitement alive as we gear up for what could be a defining moment for our Canadiens. Until next time, keep cheering and bleeding blue, Blanc, et Rouge.